Now, let's just suppose that the planet Saturn was in the constellation of Aquarius the day that you were born. Was it? You're not too sure? Well, this is why you need your own personal natal chart reading. But this says Saturn in Aquarius. Another power combination is at hand. And a power combination is when a planet is in the constellation that it rules over. Saturn is one of the planets that rule over Aquarius. Aquarius is also unique as it is the throne of two planets. The other planet is Uranus. This means that Aquarius has the characteristics of both Saturn and Uranus. The properties of Saturn are law, foundation, discipline, structure, and responsibility. These qualities will enhance the characteristics of Aquarius. The additional characteristics of Aquarius are that of Uranus. These are reformation and rebirth. Royal family, remember we still have the 50% discount on your accurate natal chart reading. Email us, priestisaacinstitute@gmail.com. Remember, this is not just a reading. You're going to get your booklet, PDF form, and also online flip book with your natal chart reading. Blessed love. And we are speaking of 1963, the foundation of the Organization of African Unity, 63 years ago, as 1963 aligned with 63, the 63rd anniversary. And interestingly, the very same days are now aligned, for it was a Saturday, the 23rd day of May, where the conference began, and it is the 23rd day of May in this 63rd anniversary where we met the Sabbath day, the Saturday. And it is Monday, the 25th of May at 4 p.m. when the leaders of the free African nations began to sign the declaration that brought forth the Organization of African Unity. Of course, royal family, we greet you in the name of Emperor Haile Selassie I, the Tiger's Temple, in full effect, your humble servant, the Honorable Priest Isaac, here with you, and what we will be doing today as we are celebrating again African Liberation Day. We will be highlighting the reality that we are dealing with the father of Africa, Emperor Haile Selassie I. And you may say, why you need to do that? Huh? What's the importance now? Everybody knows that. Well, first of all, everybody doesn't know that. And those who know for the most part did not know that, I am sure, several decades ago. You must keep in mind, that it is us, Rastafari, as a movement, the intellectual aspect of Rastafari that kept Haile Selassie's name, legacy, and achievements on the front line. The conscious community did not bring to the forefront the reality of who Haile Selassie is. It is Rastafari specifically, even the legacy of Marcus Messiah Garvey. We preserved that. We need not be ashamed. And we don't have to wait for anyone to say that, because we would have preserved many things. Even Ethiopia, Ethiopia, and the knowledge of Ethiopia with all its greatness and its own legacy, when it was void from the knowledge of us as a people who was taken away from Africa. It is Rastafari that kept Ethiopia and red, gold, and green and all things that has to do with even Africa in general on the forefront. But Ethiopia specifically, Rastafari, the movement I am speaking about. Yes. So, in the same way, again, the legacy of Negus and Nagas, the legacy of the King of Kings. Remember, first of all, they didn't want to teach us anything about Africa for sure. But when our teachers came, and again the conscious community began to bring forth this information, outside of Marcus Messiah Garvey, others tend to somewhat forget that Ethiopia existed. Even when we went into the books of our great scholars, again outside of Marcus Messiah Garvey, everyone else was quite quiet, hmm, when it related to Emperor Haile Selassie I. J.A. Rogers. He's an individual that stands out. I refer to him as Ja Rogers when he speaks of the greatness of the Ethiopians and, of course, Rastafari. But outside of these individuals, you really find ones even amongst our community as conscious scholars that would speak of the glory of Haile Selassie. And you would have seen in those previous programs that we would have done, at least the last 10 programs directly dealing with Haile Selassie, from the kiss of death and the earth's rightful ruler, and the program, the galactic battle with the Pope, and when Haile Selassie entered Windsor's castle, and John F. Kennedy and Abraham Lincoln, and what else? We did a few programs, the Meet the Press program, one that we just did recently when he stopped the war in Africa. And I will repeat again, none of these programs were biblically foundational programs where we were just going from scripture to scripture and chapter and verse trying to prove something. No, we just utilize geopolitical history flat and show to the world that we're dealing with Earth's rightful ruler. So again, we didn't know nothing about the Organization of African Unity. And when we began, listen to me good, when we began to get an understanding as it relates to the liberation of Africa and its unity, for what reason or the other, Kwame Nkrumah became the father of Africa. And of course, nobody loves Kwame Nkrumah more than us. Mhm. But the truth must be told. It's obviously a plot to put Kwame Nkrumah in front of Emperor Haile Selassie. And believe me, Brother Kwame Nkrumah, as they say, Kwame Nkrumah, I don't think he was behind the plot at all. He was quite oblivious to what the wicked was doing. But because they want us to totally forget the glory of Ethiopia and totally forget the contribution of Emperor Haile Selassie the First in their sly and cunning ways, they even tried to pick us one against the other. Hmm? So now our Pan-Africanist brothers are going to argue about who the real father of Africa is because they themselves, many, have also been brainwashed. Anyone who's talking about the father of Africa and pretend as if Haile Selassie is not even in consideration, you have been brain scrubbed as well. You have not fully woken up. Trust me. No matter how much dashiki you wear, and kente cloth, and dreadlocks, and beads, and cowrie shells, whatever you have on, and kwanzaa, and whatever you do, if you still pretend as if somehow Haile Selassie is not an important character. You haven't got it as yet. You need to listen more, Mystic Vibration, Tiger's Nest, and Tiger's Temple, to comprehend who we are dealing with here. So, yes, royal family, we need to address these subjects, especially at this time, as we are celebrating the 63rd anniversary of 1960 and 1960 and 3, the 25th day of May. 4 p.m. in the afternoon, Monday afternoon, which is aligned again perfectly today. And of course, the old AU, not necessarily the AU, the Organization of African Unity. So we know the history. Hmm? And it is Haile Selassie that really united again, showing that unity. The Monrovia group and the Casablanca group. We had no time to be grouping up. We needed to unite. And the emperor built Africa Hall. Trust me, 1963 established it and brought forward his brethren who have recently received their independence. And this is another thing, because what we're going to do today, this is not just about the day. This is about the emperor being the father of Africa even from the time of his coronation. Oh, yeah. So 1963 was somewhat of a climax because it is the hand of the Ethiopian government that was at play in assisting all of these African countries to gain their independence. They would not have received their independence unless it was the strong assistance from Ethiopia economically and even militarily, training as well as otherwise, and propaganda and diplomacy and other aspects had to enter into this game for Ghana to get its independence. Even South Africa eventually breaking the chains of apparent apartheid, because a lot of that stuff is still continuing, maybe not as apparent as before. And all the countries, remember, even Algeria and Morocco still had a lot of things they had to clear up, and Haile Selassie had to intervene. All of this is important as we are talking about who the real father of Africa is. And it's a shame. We're not comparing our leaders with each other, brother. We're not into that. We're not comparing mommy with daddy. Don't put that on our door. It is your propaganda and your miseducation that try to divide our family as if one is over the other. It's not who over who, it's just who is who. So you're not going to turn mommy into daddy and daddy into mommy. Haile Selassie is the father of Africa. And the other individual you're trying to put over him, he doesn't agree with that. If Nkrumah could speak now, he'd say, hey, who's the father of Africa? Me? Come on, man. Don't do me that. Negusa Nagas. So what we are going to do tonight, family, we haven't begun, this is just the introduction. What we will be doing is to show with proof, as we would have done for these previous programs, that we're dealing with Earth's rightful ruler, coming from the horse's mouth, Earth's rightful ruler, and in this case specifically, the father of Africa. So remember, family, we have a special offer, especially as it relates to the Ethiopia History Essay Competition. For those of you who have been following up, great success thus far, I'm telling you. We will be giving you another official report, just as we did when we launched the essay competition on the 5th of May. And remember, those who will be contributing We promise to literally match your contribution with a product or products or a service or services that we have at the Priest Isaac's Institute of Holistic Knowledge. So, in other words, whatever contribution you make towards the Ethiopian history essay competition, so if it's 20 or $50 or $100 or $500 or whatever it may be, we will match it. It is almost as if you're just making a sale. That's to show you how balanced this is. We will match it. You would have to be persistent and say, listen, brother, I don't want nothing. Do you understand? And don't trouble me again. All right, sir. No problem. Thanks for your contribution. But outside of that, remember we have the ancient astronomy course. Remember we have the international homeschool program. Remember we have the natal chart reading. Remember we have several books that you can choose from, or you can choose all depending on your contribution. Remember, we have several documentaries that would have been literally chosen as finalists in international film festivals. We have these documentaries available, and you could definitely make your choice depending on your contribution. Remember, we have the subscription to the Tiger's Nest radio program. Remember, we also have even our international tours. I don't know the amount of contribution, whatever it may be, what level of contribution you'll be making, but my point is family, and we have many other things in the wings and things that are coming. Remember, family, that whatever contribution you make towards the Ethiopian history essay competition, my point once again is that we will match your contribution with a product or products, service or services. Once again, match it. That means it will be of the value of the contribution that you make towards this worthy cause. And of course, again, for those of you who comprehend, because this is important, this is why marketing and promotion is key, because I have to make you understand what it is we're doing here. Many may hear what we're talking about and really don't get it. And unless I feed it to you, sometimes I have to repeat it over and over again so you comprehend the mission here. You understand the reason why we do what we do. You understand our targets. You comprehend our goals. What we expect to see come out of this. You need to comprehend what stage that we are at even in this mission, because it's not a simple mission. As I would have said, even in the launching of the essay competition, this is not in the Caribbean. This is not a little 108 square miles. This is not 100 and something thousand people. We're on the big stage right now. Even just the mentality is different, the culture is different. So to get through the doors and to make sure that you can sit with the right people, which again we would have already begun the process. The language barrier, which we are breaking down the barrier, interpreters, and so many other things are needed underground for this mission. This is kingdom building that we are dealing with. Some of you, may not really see it the way that we see it, but that's okay. I guess maybe I don't see things the way you see things neither. And maybe I have to feed to you what's in my mind. Sometimes, again, you have to be repetitious with it so you can say, okay, I think I get it now. So, this is why we take our time. We did a whole program that we would have highlighted and launched the essay competition. If you missed that program, I will put the link in the description below this video again, so you can literally watch the full launch of the Ethiopian history essay competition, so you have a heart-to-heart understanding of the importance of it in this redemption of our people for sure. So again, even when it comes to making your contribution, the link for that is also in the description below the video as well. And you don't know, you email us Priest Isaac institute@gmail.com and let us know what you would like, what gift you would like to receive, what product or what service you would like to receive that would match the contribution that you would have made to this worthy cause. Remember, this is an ongoing process. This is supposed to come to an end on the 2nd of November. We are just at the beginning stages. And remember, this contribution cry is really for the family. This is the preliminary stages of this. And when we go to the next stage, I mean, it's going to be strong diplomacy that will be at work. We have already begun that process of sending out emails and making calls and getting interviews prepared. And we would have already started to interview individuals that are principals of schools, principals of colleges, business people, bank managers. We would have already done all of this, family. This is a daily work. And this is not a small country. It's a lot of work that we're doing here. And give thanks for those of you. I'm telling you from my heart. Comprehend what is happening here. I know some of you criticize and say all sorts of foolish things. You think I'm here playing around. This ain't no joke game, my brothers and sisters. I'm telling you. And I don't have time to be, corresponding with nobody that's in Sesame Street land. I'm doing King Selassie work to the best of my ability. Who don't understand that is just up to you. I hope you catch up sometime, more sooner than later. But for those of you who do, and those of you who are not putting your shoulder to the wheel, I'm telling you straight, that's something you need to look into, because we all got to come together to do this work. And if you're not let's say, the pilot of the plane, that's okay. But you got to assist the pilot. Everyone has to do their duty. So I'm very thankful for those of you who understand that. Holy Haile Selassie, Jah, Rastafari.
To everyone who has been asking, Priest Isaac, how can I make a contribution to the Institute? Press the link in the description and you'll get all the information that you need to do such. We truly appreciate your inquiry. For more information, email priestisaacinstitute@gmail.com.
Nearly half the population of Ethiopia now is under the age of 15, and for Haile Selassie their education has always been an obsession.
Salam Nacho to all Ethiopian religious children and parents. Introducing the Priest Isaac's Institute of Holistic Knowledge Ethiopian History Essay Competition from the 5th of May to the 2nd of November 2026.
He's taken personal charge of the Ministry of Education, sought teachers and money for more schools from half the countries in the world, and turned one of his palaces into a university.
Children 7 to 17 will write an essay entitled "What Does Ethiopian History Mean to Me?" Prizes such as laptops and tablets to be won, trips to the Science Museum, Unity Park, and others for the full class of the winners from Aksum to Lalibela. Menelik I and Menelik II, Ethiopia's history is amongst the richest in the world. For more information, join us on most social media platforms at Priest Isaac, or email us at priestisaacinstitute@gmail.com. The Ethiopian History Essay Competition. Know your heritage.
He's directly responsible for whatever schooling these youngsters get.
And royal family, before we continue, let me just encourage everyone to share this video. You see, royal family, we must comprehend, as I said earlier, some come to be entertained, some come for the edification, which is good. That's great to come for the knowledge and the information and everything that goes with it. But also, there's another component, which is the kingdom building. As I said, this is more than talk. This is also walk. This is the action channel here. So if an individual is not putting their hands to the plow in a strong, significant way, as I said, even if it's through contributions or even if it's through patronizing what we have to offer, because all of that is a part of the work, the unity, the teamwork. Well, you can at least share the link, share the video. And this is a very simple thing to do. You're watching YouTube, just below the video, you have the options and it will tell you share. All you have to do is press share, and a few other options will come up: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, um, X as they call it now, the Twitter. And all you have to do is press these social media avenues and the video will share. That's as simple as it gets. In fact, the only thing more simple than that is to press the like button. Oh, that's super easy. I mean, anyone that means that they're not pressing the like button, you could give them their medal for the hater of the month. I'm telling you, if you find it so hard just to press the thumbs up, it's just all you have to do is press it. Just press it. That's all. That's it. You don't have to move. You don't have to get up. You don't have to think too hard. And you don't have to type anything. Just press the like button. Bling, thumbs up. Simple, 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 simple. And that would assist. I think it's better to share, but at least that will assist, according to what they say, the video to get to more people, and more individuals would get the same information that you continually come to get. Isn't that nice? I think that is so wonderful. To me, that's an act of love, just to press that thumbs up, just to press it. So by now, everyone that is listening who really has a heart for what is happening here, who really appreciate, even if you don't get the kingdom building part of what we're doing, and you get the edification part, at least that you would press that like button there. It doesn't take anything, it doesn't cost nothing, it's just to press it. You pressed it already, just touch it, and it helps the video to get to someone else. Yes, and I mean, if you cannot do that, I don't think there's anything else that you would do. But again, for those who have a little more vibes than just that, again, sharing the video to me is the main thing. And again, you have many avenues that you can do that. Family, this is kingdom building. The edification and the knowledge stage, give thanks, it's not going to pass away, but it's time to step to another level. Give thanks continually for the life giver and the keeper of life. Now, we're going to go into the video that is well known, The Lion of Judah, they call the documentary. This was a BBC documentary done in the 70s. And this was the first video I personally ever had of Emperor Haile Selassie. I'm talking before YouTube. And we had it on a VHS cassette, and I received that from a brother named Shanga. And I mean, from he gave it to me, it was mine, and I would watch that over and over and over and over again, delighting in the King of Kings. And at that time, I was just coming in. In fact, I got that video before I accepted Haile Selassie as who he is in flesh, the divine being. But what I want to do now, this is a BBC documentary, and I am telling you, propaganda to the highest level. within this, because this documentary makes some statements that I don't want to cover in this program. I'll cover it some other time. But for sure, this documentary makes some statements that are just totally off the wall. But anyway, at the same time, you must keep in mind one of the points I've been making for the previous programs is that when you take your time to listen to the narrative of the day as it relates to Haile Selassie the First, you get a different outlook of him than maybe what you heard growing up. You don't hear nobody talk about him feeding lions and people starving. And no. You see, that propaganda, which came from those who produced the propaganda, went into the heart of our people. But for the most part, you listen to the narrative of the 60s, the 50s, the 40s, the 30s, you get a different understanding of who you're dealing with. The father of Africa, the peacemaker, the courageous lion that goes on the battlefield, the uniter of the nations, the man that killed the League of Nations. The League was dead. All of these things you get from your British newsreel, from your BBC report, and other reports of that time, France, Germany, all clearly telling you who you're dealing with. But you see, because again of the hatred of ourselves, now we have to be cleaning off all of the lies and propaganda that have been put on the emperor, the stuff that I heard when I was growing up, and many of you as well. So as we enter into this video now, I just want to highlight some of the statements made by the narrator, clearly show you, number one, yes, we're dealing with the father of Africa, but again, the overall point that we have been making for the past month and a half, that we are dealing with Earth's rightful ruler. Let's listen to some of this stuff here.
These people are waiting for the appearance of a living legend.
So these people are waiting for the appearance of a living legend. And the thing is, you got to keep in mind, a legend is usually someone, when you receive that title of a legend, you would have passed on. A legend, the legend stuff is almost like the sainthood that the church gives to the saint. You got to be dead to be a saint. And that's not the truth, really. I mean, we are saints. But I'm just trying to show you, in the religious world, you get your sainthood after you die. Right. It's almost the same thing as the legendhood, then, if that's the right term. There are very few legends that are living legends. In fact, there are more legends that die than living legends. There's several living legends, you know, that's for sure. But Haile Selassie is highlighted here by the narrator, mark you, as or I should say the reporter, living legend.
Ministers of government, ambassadors and their wives, princes of the church. By now, they've probably lost count of the number of times they've waited here at Addis Ababa airport for the same extraordinary man. In a moment, he'll step from the door of this aircraft to a scene that's even more familiar to him. And here he comes, the legend in person.
The legend in person.
And here he comes, the legend in person. One of the world's best known figures and faces, and one that most of us know least about.
One of the world's best known figures and faces. One of the world's best known figures and faces. Now, yes, we all know that now, you know. And again, we got to give credit to Rastafari, the movement. We all know that now. But a decade and a half ago, I'm speaking from experience, give it 2 decades ago. If you want to add leverage, give it 3 decades ago. You make that statement, people ask you, what you talking about?
World's best known figures and faces, and one that most of us know least about. Father figure of modern Africa and
father figure of modern Africa. Father figure of modern Africa. As I said, there are also some droppings of propaganda in the video as well. So he goes on to say,
relic of a vanishing world, feudal despot and reforming monarch, one of the last claimants to the divine right of kings.
Reforming monarch and one of the last claimants to the divine right of kings.
The legendary descendant of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba.
You're talking about the legendary descendant of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba.
His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie I, conquering lion of the tribe of Judah, elect of God, King of kings, Emperor of Ethiopia. Not long ago, Haile Selassie celebrated his 40th anniversary as emperor, and his own people of Ethiopia came to do him honor. But Haile Selassie in his time has been far more than just the ruler of a small African state. He's become one of the great survivors of our day and of yesterday.
So he's more than just a ruler of an African state. He has become one of the great survivors of today and yesterday. Now, throughout this video, you'll find pockets of statements like this being made. Throughout this documentary, you will find pockets of statements similar to that being made. That he would have withstood then all that has been thrown to him. Listen again.
Of a small African state, he's become one of the great survivors of our day and of yesterday.
He has become one of the great survivors of our day and yesterday. What is the narrator speaking about? Oh, we're going to get into that.
Riding out in shrewd triumph all that the 20th century could throw at him.
Riding out in shrewd triumph all that the 20th century could throw at him. What did the 20th century throw at him? All that it could throw at him. And he rode out in shrewd. Shrewd means wise, wisdom, triumph, to conquer. This is in the 70s now, just before the king disappeared from amongst us. Listen to the narrative spoken of him. Give thanks.
Today, Haile Selassie is courted by all the world. At his anniversary reception, the representatives of 100 nations came to salute the authority of this tiny old man.
So today he's quoted by all the world. You would have never known that. I don't know about you and where you're from, but trust me, you would have never believed anything like that. You would think that this is some lost figure that the Rastaman gone heads over heel over about Haile Selassie. Quoted by all the world, the representatives of 100 nations. 100, eh? We speak of the 72 that came to the coronation, representatives of over 100 nations came to pay homage to this tiny old man, according to how the narrator puts it.
He was probably the first African leader to be treated by white men as an equal, and the first to be sacrificed by them in the name of appeasement.
Now,
He's learned to trust nobody.
Hold on to. He was the first to be sacrificed by them. Yes, I heard the statement, the first to be, treated amongst white men as an equal. Okay. But to me, the real statement is the first to be sacrificed by them in the name of appeasement.
He was probably the first African leader to be treated by white men as an equal, and the first to be sacrificed by them in the name of appeasement.
And what I'm highlighting is just that term, sacrifice. It will come up again. Sacrifice. And although we are dealing with geopolitics here and history, you must be able to balance this off with the understanding of theology, because true theology, true religion as such, is just the manifestation of reality, the manifestation of history. Religion and theology is so strong because it can foresee history and what must manifest. Belief and all of that stuff is a bit different. Belief feeds off of true theology. Belief feeds off of true religion, but true theology is history waiting to happen, and history that has happened as well. In hindsight, and also looking at it from a prophetic point of view. So this is exactly what is taking place here. So when the narrator says he was the first to be sacrificed, that's the point I'm getting at. Just like the Christ was sacrificed, yeah, and even resurrected, all of that will be highlighted here.
He's learned to trust nobody, except perhaps his dog, and yet he's won the respect of the world, for there's no man alive today whose life has spanned so much.
There is no man alive today whose life has spanned so much. He trusts no one except perhaps his dog. He's gained the respect of the world. Give thanks. But there is no man alive today whose life has spanned so much. What kind of statement are these that this man is making here?
Now, in his old age, he's practically the incarnation of the history of our time.
Now, in his old age, he is practically the incarnation of the history of our time. Which Rasta man? Who that? Bongo? Who that attack? That's a BBC reporter. This is a BBC documentary, brother. This ain't bongo nobody. This is a BBC documentary.
Meaning his coronation was attended by men of rank and circumstance from all over the world. The Duke of Gloucester went from Britain. France sent a field marshal. Italy, the heir to the throne. Governors of Africa's colonial territories came to salute the independent African king.
Very important. I mean, we speak of 72 nations and all of that, as was recorded by the tabloid of the day and Time magazine and all of this. But you must consider this, eh? Governors of colonial Africa came to salute the independent African king. Please, family, don't think that simple. Again, this is why history itself is so important. Understanding the time frame, comprehending the age, and everything that goes with it. We all know that Africa was colonialized at the time by Germany and France and who else, and the rest of them, and Britain and even Italy had a little piece of something somewhere. So the European nations would have already had Africa under its grip, except for Ethiopia. And here you have the colonial representatives coming and paying homage to the African king.
Governors of Africa's colonial territories came to salute the independent African king. His own people poured into Addis Ababa in thousands to pay homage to the new emperor. Thought of a new war.
All wars are horrible, and as dangerous as they are horrible.
In the mouth of Ramsay MacDonald.
So in the mouth of Ramsay MacDonald, because after the coronation now, what the documentary said, which we skipped over, is that Mussolini entered the picture. And Mussolini said that the last place for conquests, colonial imperial conquests in Africa is Ethiopia. So this is how you know Liberia is not or was not as free as they want you to think. It was not on the same level. Liberia was conquered by the United States of America, for sure. Listen to me, family. So what Ramsay MacDonald is saying here, as the documentary said, Western statesmen quailed or quaked at the thought of Hitler and Mussolini coming together and doing what they have to do and taking over Europe. They were shaking in their boots. So listen to what MacDonald is saying here and listen to the narrator's response as well.
Britain's Prime Minister, the age of appeasement was born.
The age of appeasement was born. Do you understand that? To appease, when you appease. Listen, the League of Nations, this is really what's happening here. The League of Nations has certain or had certain protocols that they are supposed to stand on or were supposed to stand on. Collective security. For surety. So one nation was not supposed to just jump up and gobble up another nation. And in fact, that these are the words of this documentary. So when you hear the term appeasement coming now, that should not even be entertained. No one is supposed to appease no one. We are supposed to just stand up for the right. Mussolini, you're wrong. You should not invade Abyssinia. We're going to cut you off. We're going to take away your rights. We're going to ostracize ourselves from you. No, appeasement. They're going to appease Mussolini and even Hitler because they were quaking in their boots.
Its first sacrifice in the cause of peace in our time was to be the Emperor Haile Selassie.
Its first sacrifice. This is why I must say again, this is not religion, but I have to refer to the sacrifice of the Lamb. I know many of us, we are well into the Passion of Christ and Mel Gibson and a lot of Hollywood and fairy tale from Sunday school, but this is the real deal here. It's as real can get. It's no spookism. The first sacrifice in our time, man.
Its first sacrifice in the cause of peace in our time was to be the Emperor Haile Selassie. In Ethiopia, the emperor could do no more than play for time against the Italian threat.
You understand that?
And proclaim an embargo to both sides. For Italy, with her own arms, the embargo was a green light. For Ethiopia, it was a death sentence. But for Haile Selassie, the final betrayal came at the League of Nations. Pierre Laval, the French foreign minister, and Sir Samuel Hoare for Britain, proposed to hand part of Ethiopia to Mussolini. Appeasement had triumphed. Collective security was a myth.
Oh, so you get that. So Pierre Laval of France and Samuel Hoare of Britain proposed to pass and hand part of Ethiopia to Mussolini. So as the narrator said, the appeasement has won and collective security was a myth. The final betrayal, he referred to this as. Yeah, man, this is the story of Christ.
Haile Selassie followed them. He left behind the agony of defeat to confront his betrayers at the League of Nations.
Ladies and gentlemen, the second speaker on the list is His Majesty the Nicholas Haile Selassie.
He did so with a dignity that has become a legend.
Monsieur le Président, Monsieur le...
The jeers of fascists in the gallery did not stop him. I am here to claim justice, he said. What reply shall I take back to my people? There was no answer, and there could be none. The League was dead.
There was no answer, and there could be none. The League was dead. The League was dead. I mean, what are you talking about? Who killed the League? St. George, who slew the dragon, the stone that hit the feet of clay and iron, and the whole statue fell down in the second chapter of the book of Daniel. The League, the nations, the government of the world was dead. Someone murdered the League. Someone executed the League. The League was dead. No answer. There could be none.
What reply shall I take back to my people? There was no answer, and there could be none. The League was dead. So, said the Emperor, it is us today. It will be you tomorrow.
Now again, as we are celebrating from 1963, the 63rd anniversary of the Organization of African Unity, we must understand it's more than just the OAU as such on this day, the 25th of May. This is what I have to say. We didn't come to play. But the reality is that even from the time frame that we have been highlighting, you can see the father of Africa figure obviously in motion there. That is why the colonial masters, the governors of colonial Africa came to salute the independent African king. And this is even before the trials and tribulations of Mussolini and his invasion came on the forefront. And you can see how we dealt with that. The first sacrifice, the first victim, but yet still the first victor. This is how he is described. It's the resurrection, the first to be resurrected. You think this is a joke, eh? But you see, when we look at this in the fairy tale manner, like I heard a brethren say that we are even we as Rastafari, he's a Rast, saying we as Rastafari are religious because of the Bible. Now, it may sound strange, but the Bible is not necessarily a religious book, It's how those who read it take it. In many cases, it's a reality book. The sacrificial lamb, the first to be resurrected. But because we are so depleted of our Afrocentricity, we don't understand how to read allegory. And we throw many babies away with bath waters. Let's listen to this.
As almost the only independent African ruler after the war, Haile Selassie provided a symbol of self-respect for black men just emerging from white rule. The wind of change had come to Africa.
You see what's going on? He provided self-respect for black man just coming out of white rule. The wind of change come to Africa.
Recognizing the emperor's unique position, the United Nations chose Addis Ababa as its African headquarters, and he embarked on a new political career.
The age in which we live, Your Imperial Majesty, is an age of paradox.
In his brand new Africa Hall, Haile Selassie presided at innumerable meetings of his new revolutionary colleagues.
His new revolutionary colleagues, as we said earlier, it was revolution that brought all of these people you see here, all of these delegates now and dignitaries. It's revolution. And it began when Haile Selassie defeated Mussolini. I mean, even prior to that, of course, we can go into the Battle of Adawatu-Kali and we can go way back. But we understand the climax. We understand the time frame, World War II. And after the defeat of Mussolini and Hitler and all of those ones, you saw that Africa began to get its independence. How did this happen? The shrewd behavior, as the narrator says, how his shrewd meditation would have allowed him, Haile Selassie, to ride out all what the 20th century had to throw at him. But he did more than that. Because of the same shrewd meditation and thinking, he was able to free up the rest of Africa and bring independence, whether it's through economics, whether it's through military action, whether it's through training, or whether it's through diplomacy. And you can look at all the different African countries and you can see the difference. You can see where military training was necessary. In the case of people like Nelson Mandela, you could see where diplomacy was needed and strong counseling in the case of Kwame Nkrumah and Ghana. So Ethiopia played a part in the independence of the African states. And then when the Casablanca and the Monrovia group couldn't get their act together, the king came in again and said, hey, listen, let's unite.
He became the great African father figure.
He became the great African father figure.
The great African peacemaker.
The great African peacemaker. Who you said do this documentary? Rasu? BBC.
In the Congo, in Biafra, in Morocco and Algeria.
The Congo, Biafra, Morocco, Algeria. These were the states that we highlighted in that previous documentary. Interesting. Listen to this.
But his voice commanded respect, because he alone in Africa had been both victim and victor.
He alone in Africa, He alone in Africa had been both victim and victor. Please don't take these statements lightly, family. We listen, I know we're listening and we just hear, but these are key statements being made. He alone in Africa has been both victor, we just explained that, and victor. The resurrected from the 5th of May 1936 to the 5th of May 1941.
In the struggle against colonial rule.
Oh, he was the first victim, him alone, victor, victim and victor in the struggle of colonialism. Beautiful, him alone. In all of the history of colonialism, this is the only one that went into the underworld and resurrected.
He alone had been the first martyr of the old League of Nations.
Hear this, huh? He alone had been the first martyr. You know what a martyr? Now the narrator may be speaking poetically, but he's speaking realistically. He was the first martyr of the old League of Nations.
And was now a founder and guide of the new United Nations.
And was now a founder. I didn't remember hearing this in history class. And he was now a founder and guide of the new United Nations. You see, family, I'm going to say this again. If you could find a way to strip the majority of the people from the religious way of thinking, just put away spookism and feed them just this simple truth. This may sound harsh to some of you, but you don't even need no Bible. You can clearly see. This is the Bible here, the truth. You can clearly see that Haile Selassie is the divine being amongst us. Listen, that is why I would have done these programs. How many we have done so far? About 9. Highlighting Earth's rightful ruler from a geopolitical, historical perspective. And only here and there we lean to maybe a scriptural verse. Why? Because that's what we're accustomed to kind of validate what we're saying. But it's obvious we are the living Bible, man. We're the first church. This is what I'm trying to show you. You don't even have to crack none of the testaments to prove that Haile Selassie is the Most High, Earth's rightful ruler. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Seeing his influence in the new Africa, the world beat a path to his door.
You see, the world beat a path to his door.
The Organization of African Unity followed the United Nations and set up shop in Addis Ababa. Diplomats and businessmen flocked in. Within a decade, the face of Addis Ababa was transformed. The signs of international affluence towered over the old open drains.
So don't get this mixed up. It is not just today that Addis Ababa has become the showpiece as such of Africa and the world. That's how they refer to it in this documentary, by the way. No, it is Emperor Haile Selassie is the first, which would have established Addis Ababa as an international metropolis. Again, let's lean on the scripture, just for the understanding of many. Glorious things are spoken of thee, O city of God. Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. I make mention of Rahab and Babylon to them that know me. Behold, with Ethiopia. It's Ethiopia that's beholding this, but Rahab and Babylon can come and take a look. Behold, with Ethiopia. Come and celebrate with her. This man was born there. And of Zion, where the Ark of the Covenant is. And of Zion it shall be said that this and that man was born in her. Her who? Zion, where the Ark is, behold, with Ethiopia. That's why the God loveth the gates of Zion more than all the dwelling places of Africa that went under colonialism. That's why it was saved. Because the Lord loveth the gates thereof. Glorious things are spoken of thee, O city of God. That's why he loveth the gates thereof, more than all the other dwelling places of Jacob. That's why they went under colonialism, but the crown head was ever saved. And the highest himself shall establish her. The 87th Psalm.
Nearly half the population of Ethiopia now is under the age of 15, and for Haile Selassie their education has always been an obsession. He's taken personal charge of the Ministry of Education, sought teachers and money for more schools from half the countries in the world, and turned one of his palaces into a university. He's directly responsible for whatever schooling these youngsters get. Haile Selassie is a lonely man now. His wife, 2 sons, a daughter are all dead, and though others remain to keep him company now and then, the essential solitude of his life on the tightrope of power must grow more oppressive every year. On one side, there's still the old Ethiopian world of feudal power and tradition. On the other, there's the new challenge of his own reforms, the educated youngsters and the modern army officers who want the world and would like it now.
Now, in the conclusion of this video, do you understand what he's saying there?
Feudal power and tradition.
You know, on one side, he's saying the emperor is walking this tightrope. On one side, you have the old world of feudal power and tradition.
On the other, there's the new challenge of his own reforms.
On the other, you have the challenges of his own reforms.
The educated youngsters and the modern army officers.
The educated youngsters and the modern army officers who would like the world, they want the world and they would like it now. So on both sides, he has these heavy energies now from the ancient world, feudal power, land reform, and traditional culture. And then on the other side, you have educated youth, and you have the army, modern army officers, and everybody wants their piece of the pie. In fact, most of them want the whole pie.
Who want the world and would like it now.
Who want the world and would like it now.
They're the upper and nether millstones which have ground many a good man exceeding small, especially in this century.
That's a serious statement. They are the upper and nether millstone that have grounded many leaders exceeding small, especially in this century. They're the upper and nether millstone. It's like a grinding mill. When you're grinding, I guess, stone to dust, or you're grinding something, wheat to flour, you have a grinding stone, the upper and nether millstone in the grinding mill that would have grounded or grinded many leaders exceeding small, many leaders could not take the pressure. Hear this now, man. Many leaders had to cow under that pressure coming from their own people, because these people, just like the army officers, just like the students that have now received education, just like the traditional leaders and those who do not want to release their culture from that time, they would have grounded the leaders, the rulers, the kings, the emperors, exceeding nothing, thus blow them away, especially in this century. And he, Emperor Haile Selassie, is now going through the same thing. He is being touched by the upper and nether millstone. They are on both sides of him as he's walking the tightrope. Hear this.
To have survived them for the better part of 55 years in power is something unequaled by any ruler in the world today.
To have,
No wonder the Lion of Judah...
hold on, to have survived them for the better part of 55 years is something unequal, unmatched by any leader in the world today. Let's hear that again.
To have survived them for the better part of 55 years in power is something unequaled by any ruler in the world today.
This is 1970. This is just a few years before the story came to an end. King is walking down the back step there of his palace. The very first time I went up that step and I realized where I was, I mean, I wouldn't go into all of that emotional expression with you right now, but let's stick to the subject here. Who have survived them? Survive who? The upper and nether millstone that has grounded many leaders to dust, to nothing. Blow it away like powder. He has survived them. That's why at the beginning of the documentary it says, of today and yesterday, riding out in shrewd triumph, all that the 20th century could have thrown at him. Survived them for the better part of 55 years and even more than that. Unequal to any leader today. The living legend we're talking about.
No wonder the Lion of Judah has become one of the living legends of our time.
David Holden is the narrator, BBC Network. The father of Africa, Earth's rightful ruler. Family, stay royal, stay loyal. Abatachin Janoi, Edas Emmanuel Selassie, Jah, Rastafari.
Attention! Join us in Ethiopia from the 20th to the 29th of July 2026 for the Lion of Judah Tour, as we celebrate the 134th anniversary of Emperor Haile Selassie I, Emperor of Ethiopia. In Addis Ababa, we will visit the Grand Jubilee Palace, the University of Addis Ababa Imperial Palace, the Throne Room and Palace of Menelik II, and of course, the Science Museum, the National Museum, the Battle of Adwa Museum, and so much more. Then we go south to Shashamane and visit the hot springs and waterfalls of Wando Gede. And don't forget the summer palace of the Emperor. Come prepared to rock Naya. Remember that the Lion of Judah Tour is all inclusive. Your meals, your accommodations, transportation, and so much more. Plus, take advantage of our 50%, 30%, and 20% discounts that are available. For more information or to register, email us at priestisaacinstitute@gmail.com. The Lion of Judah Tour. What a gathering. And see you there.
For all those who are planning to be with us in July for the Lion of Judah tour from the 20th to the 29th, we have created a booklet answering all the questions that you would have as it relates to this upcoming tour. The itinerary is also included in the booklet. You can get the booklet in PDF form by emailing us priestisaacinstitute@gmail.com. But in the description below the video, you have the link to the digital flipbook version of this booklet, The Lion of Judah Tour. You get all the information on where we will be going on our events. You have all the information as it relates to the special discounts, the 50%, the 40%, the 30%, and of course the full price, which is still very economical for the grand tour that you will be getting, the marvelous package that we would have put together for this upcoming Lion of Judah tour. So again, press the link in the description below for the online flipbook or email us if you prefer the PDF, priestisaacinstitute@gmail.com.